meat is more expensive than veg to buy. So, there's a 40% less cost if you eat vegetables and don't eat meat. So I'd suggest that, meat is expensive. So, cheap meat is not necessarily good for the environment and good for people's health. It has a wider cost, animal rights too. So, I think eating vegetables is cheaper. Loads of studies have found this out. So maybe think about that.
Gareth, what do you think?
It's about a balanced diet, isn't it? And getting the right nutrition. And that's really important. I'm a livestock farmer up here, we're in the middle of lambing and calving. Them lambs now will be ready from August onwards. And, that's what pays my bills, keeps the roof above my head. And, we're very, very lucky in this country that we're supported by the British public. Meat is very, very nutritious, especially grass fed, lamb or beef. I keep a little bit of pigs as well, so they get some of the the stuff that comes from my vegetable plot that we don't want. And I use the manure as well from the back end of the cows to grow my veg. So all that is the circle of life, and that is a very important part of going forward. We need to educate people, to buy proper meat that's produced in an ethical, sustainable and regenerative way. And I think we can do this by working together and making sure that the public get the right message.
Gareth, how hard would you be hit if Joey, we're going to come to Joey in a second, but if Joey and his clan got their way and actually your industry was redundant, you're done for?
They're about 3 to 5% of the population, so I'm not worried about little Joey, to be honest with you. What we carry on is, we get the support. The majority of the British public are behind us. And, I was getting maybe £4 a kilo last 2 years ago. We're up to £6 and £7 a kilo for lamb. The demand's out there. Everybody's shouting for it because they know it's sustainable. It's really healthy for you. It's full of top quality protein, nutrition, all the vitamins you want. So, I'm not worried one iota about Joey and his little gang, to be honest with you.
Joey, I'm going to let you come in now. Are you worried about the impact that encouraging the British people to get off meat would actually have on farmers and actually some of the poorest people in society that would have to potentially go for more expensive vegan-friendly products?
Listen, you're talking about banning the promotion of cheap meat, and this Gareth guy's got one of these small holding farms where, it doesn't represent the majority of farming in the UK anyway. 85% of UK animals are factory farmed. Of the billion chickens that are slaughtered here every year in this country, 95% of them are factory farmed. And over the last 16 weeks, none of them have been let out because of bird flu. So you're talking about factory farmed animals predominantly. Over 90% of the pigs here are factory farmed, and they're killed in gas chambers, one of the cruelest ways to die. And no animal welfare organisation denies that. So Gareth represents he called us 3 to 5%. Gareth actually represents a small percentage of what the meat that's actually eaten. And if you're worried about expensive, then this grass-fed, small holding, free range, unaccessible meat is one of the most expensive foods you can basically buy. And also the cheapest foods in the supermarket, the rice, the beans, the oats, the lentils, are some of the cheapest, some of the cheapest. And you're laughing there. Do you think gas chambers are funny, Garth?
Yeah, Gareth, I'll just let you come in on that.
Little Joey, you just make me laugh, honestly. You've got no idea. Look, I run a flock of 4,000 ewes, okay? 4,000 ewes, okay? We've got 300 head of cattle. It's a partnership, it's a business, it's not a factory farm. The majority of the animals in this country are outside, mate. They're outside. No, okay, they've got a bit of problems with
chickens. Where the chickens live, mate? They haven't been outside for 16 weeks because of bird flu, and 95% of them are factory farmed. These aren't even my stats. Look them up yourself. Over 800 mega-style US farms in the UK, over 800. So you're telling me that all of these are out on grass? You're part of the problem, see? You're the one who's propagating these humane lies to the public. They go in the supermarket and they think it's all green grass and pastures. I investigate these farms. I do it all the time. I'm in there seeing the chickens dying on their faces. They go into gas chambers. You think it's funny? Pigs die in gas chambers, 86% of them. That's a DEFRA stat, and they suffer in these gas chambers to death. And you're laughing because you think it's funny. How would you like to trade places with these animals, Gareth?
I'm laughing at you. You have got no idea.
I'm laughing at you. I'm laughing at
I
you.
imagine, Zoe, a lot of farmers...
Listen, you're sitting in your vegan world. You've got no idea how your food's produced. I bet you don't grow anything.
I'm an investigator.
I grow my own
I'm an
vegetables.
investigator.
I grow my own fruit.
I investigate these farms all the time. We research these farms.
Guys, if we talk over each other, no one's going to hear anything. No one's going to hear anything.
Produce my vegetables on my plate than it does for my meat. One cow will feed many, many families for a long time. So you get your facts right. You're living in cuckoo land, mate.
Right, guys. Matthew, I want to bring you in on what you've just heard there. Do you actually think that this country is quite unique in buying these forms of meat and farming that are actually of detriment to both the environment and indeed animals? Because we are painted as being a nation of animal lovers, aren't we?
Well, no, I mean, I'm kind of moderate. I'm kind of in between there. You know, I think some people will always eat meat, and I don't think, you know, I wouldn't say ban anything. But at the same time, there's an environmental cost. Animals don't want to die, and as Joey says, chickens stuck in battery farms. That's cruel. I mean, that's full stop. You know, you can't argue that that's not cruel.
Well, I would totally agree with those sentiments as well. That's where I think there would be broad agreement. But what I will say is on the actual question that were posed there at the very start of this discussion, I actually worry that banning promotional offers on meat does mean that people are going to really struggle because, as you say, Matthew, people are not just going to stop eating meat, are they? I'm certainly not.
Well, I mean, the cheap protein comes from chicken, but you know, the studies I mentioned earlier on say that, you know, not eating meat is cheaper than eating meat, no matter what level of society you're at. It's an education thing. The government needs to educate people how to cook. And during the pandemic, people learned how to cook. They didn't go out. They didn't, you know, eat their steak in the restaurant. You know, during the war, people lived healthier because they didn't get much meat. They didn't get much sugar. They had a government-controlled diet. I'm not saying have a government-controlled diet, but because people should have a choice. But at the same time, because people get to choose what they get to eat, the big cost on the NHS.
Yes, that's the important point for me because
that's what the animals deserve, a choice not to go into a slaughterhouse to have their head cut off for a sandwich. That is disgusting. And we're talking about 2022. We're still cutting off little lambs' heads for a steak or a lamb chop. Like, what is this? This is not civil.
Opposed to what though, Joey? What are we supposed to eat instead? What would you like us to actually get our protein from?
Well, very good question, mate. I appreciate that. I've been vegan nearly 10 years and I eat whole grains, beans, legumes, fruits and vegetables, local fruits and vegetables. You know, there's no problem getting all of the nutrients you need. You can supplement B12. You don't have to stab a lamb in the throat to get B12 out of their blood. And you can live perfectly healthy without having a billion chickens in factory farms and slaughterhouses.
Right, okay, you've said that. Yes. I've heard about the chickens. Gareth, why should we actually ban cheap meat?
But this bloke's an absolute joke. He's got no idea, you know, where his food's coming from, how many creatures are dying for him to be fed. You know, I know because I'm a farmer. I'm in that field. You know, I see what dies for me to produce my salads, for my tomatoes. You know, everything has got a cost. Everything will have a death toll on it. And Joey sits there as the perfect, you know, person that thinks that he's saving, you know, in Manchester, buying his local produce. I bet he's never grown anything. I bet he's never put his hands in the soil. He hasn't got no understanding of agriculture, farming, and how important livestock is in that
have a death toll to them too.
I've had a hike of artificial fertiliser, which has doubled, okay? So we've gone from £240 per tonne to over £1,000 a tonne. Yeah. Half the food in the world is produced from artificial fertiliser. We need our livestock, we need our manure more than ever to go forward, to grow our vegetables, to grow our salads, to grow our crops.
You need slaughterhouses.
Joey doesn't understand this. He has to start to listen to
slaughterhouses.
the people that are working the land and that are feeding him every single day, because that's what farmers are doing. We're feeding you, Joey.
Thank you, Gareth. Joey, very briefly, please, last word to you.
Well, in Manchester here, there's a gas chamber that kills pigs, and they scream. You can hear them screaming. It's aversive to them. I don't know how you justify that by saying, oh, we need their manure. Just because you need manure for the ground doesn't mean you need to murder all those animals in slaughterhouses. I mean, you just like to avoid the slaughterhouse, and a lot of people do. People like Gareth, they propagate humane lies to the public, and they get sold this cheap meat. Factory farming is disgusting in this country, just like any other country. And I'm an investigator. I see it all the time, and I see all these false advertisements, and people just got to wake up.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.